Hey guys, Chris here from Fastlane Academy, and in this video I'm going to talk about how much is your business worth and tell you about a free online calculator that you can use to find out if you have an online business. Now, I interviewed several business brokers for this video, and I've also sold a few of my own personal businesses, so I'm going to combine that information here today, so let's jump in. Now, during these interviews, I learned something very interesting that I want to point out first, and that was over the last year, there's really been a huge surge in demand for businesses. It is a seller's market right now, and valuations are at an all-time high. And they weren't sure how long this was going to continue, so keep in mind that your business is probably worth more now than it has ever been. So it's probably a good idea to find out how much yours is worth, then decide if it's the right time for you to sell and take advantage of this temporary buying frenzy. So when trying to figure out what your business is worth, there are a lot of factors that come into play, and there's no way to cover them all. So I'm just going to cover the basics in this video. And the most important factor that determines what your business is worth is, of course, your annual net profit. So let's talk about that for a minute. Every business owner will know what their annual net profits are, or should. But there's one mistake that a lot of business owners make when they try to determine what their business is worth, and that's not factoring in what they call owner add-backs. Now, that means if you're writing off personal expenses like cell phones, home office, vehicle payments, or basically anything that's personal to you, even though it may be a legitimate tax write-off, those usually get added back into the net profit figure. So let me give you an example. If you had, say, $80,000 in net profits showing on your reports and tax return, but you had $20,000 in personal expenses that you wrote off, then that's actually $100,000 in annual net profits and makes a much bigger impact on the valuation. So that is something that you definitely want to consider and factor in. And they're going to want to see copies of your tax returns and profit and loss reports to prove those annual net profit figures. So make sure that you can provide those numbers before you consider listing it with a broker. They are also going to want to see some stability in those annual net profits. So make sure that you have been making consistent profits for at least a year, and preferably longer than that. Now, the next factor that affects the valuation is how long your business has been established. Most business brokers I spoke to said that the minimum is 1 year, but the valuations can be a bit lower in those cases because most buyers want to see a minimum of 2 years and preferably 3 or more. And another factor that has an impact on the valuation of how much your business is worth is whether you have an online or a local business. Because online-only businesses have higher valuations than local businesses with storefronts or locations. And the reason why is because the overhead is so much lower with an online business. There's typically little to no employees, rent, vehicles, and like all the hard costs that come with a local business. So if you have an online business, you're going to be able to sell it for a little bit more than a local one. And the last factor that I'm going to talk about is owner involvement. That means how many hours you work in the business and if you are replaceable. The less involved the new owner is going to have to be, then the higher the valuation is going to be, of course. So now let's talk about how to get an actual estimated figure of how much your business is worth. But before we do that, if you're getting value from this video, please hit that like button below, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment if you have any questions or comments. That really helps us out, and it allows us to keep putting out valuable content like this. So now let's get back to the valuations. Valuations can vary quite a bit depending on those factors, all those factors that I mentioned just a minute ago. But for a local business, most of the ones I saw listed on broker websites were valued at around 3 times annual net earnings. In the past, they were around 2 to 2.5, so that is much higher than usual. And if your annual net profits are over $400,000, I saw several that were listed at almost 4 times net earnings. So that'll give you a general idea for local businesses. So for example, if your business had $100,000 in, say, annual net profits, then you're probably looking at around $300 for a selling price. Now, that's just an estimate. Could be more or less. I couldn't find an online valuation tool, unfortunately, for local businesses. So that rough estimate will give you a general idea. The only way to get an accurate and confirmed valuation is going to be to contact a broker. And some of them offer free valuations. I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to do that and find out how much your business is worth and get one of those free valuations. You can do that. Now, let's move on to online businesses. If your business is internet-based, you will probably get more for it. As I mentioned previously, And what I notice with internet businesses is that the highest valuations are for websites that are independently owned. So for example, if you own a website that makes at least $2,000 a month in net profits, those have the highest demand, and depending on how high the net profits are, I've seen many of them priced at 4 times annual net earnings or more. So if you're selling on a website like eBay or Amazon, though, then the valuation is going to be slightly less than an independently owned website. And the reason why is because there is a higher risk with buying those types of businesses. For example, Amazon or eBay, if you're selling theirs in full control, not you, they can eliminate your business overnight if they decide to suspend your account or your access to the platform. So for that reason, they're valued slightly less, but still more than a local business. Now, I was able to find a really cool online business valuation tool where you can answer some basic questions about your business and get an instant free valuation for it without talking to anybody. Keep in mind, this free tool is only for online businesses, not local businesses. I'll leave a link to that free tool in the description below. So check that out if you want to find out how much your online business is worth and you don't want to talk to a broker just yet till you know. Now, with both local and online businesses, if you have assets like vehicles, property, inventory that's also going to be sold with the business, then those assets are also going to get added into the valuation on top of whatever the multiplier is of your annual net earnings. So let's say you had 100,000 in assets, your annual net profits were 100,000. At 3 times net earnings, the business would be valued at around 300 plus your assets for a total of 400. So another thing to factor in is broker fees. Depending on your type of business, they typically charge around 10 to 15% of the sale price. However, the fees do tend to be lower if the sale price is over $1 million. So I'm going to leave 2 links in the description below. The first one is that free online business valuation tool I told you about, where you can find out instantly what your business is worth. And if you decide to sell, that is a business broker's website. So you can reach out to them to get that process started. Once again, keep in mind that tool is only for internet businesses, not local businesses. Excuse me. If you have a local business that isn't internet based, then the link below that one that I'll leave is a similar page where you can answer some basic questions about your business and get matched with the right business broker for your specific business and get a free valuation for them. Now, not all business brokers are the same, so you want to make sure that you pick the right one for your specific business. And that page with that link below will find the right one and get you connected at no cost to you. So that's it for this video. Now you know how to get an idea of how much your business is worth and how to get a proper valuation for it. Hey, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.